All right, when we want to use Unreal Engine to create some backgrounds, we don't actually need to build out the whole 3D environment the way that we would if we were making a video game. So just like in filmmaking, we only care about what the camera can see. Anything else isn't really a primary concern. So before we start really setting up our shots, we want to add in a camera. So let's go here to our Add tool, down to Cinematic, and we want a CineCamera actor. And that's going to drop our CineCamera right into the scene. Now we can rotate around. Remember, if I hit F, it'll focus to it. And then if I hold Alt, I can rotate around. I like that it visualizes the camera with a nice little 3D model here, more so than some of the others have. So this little window here is showing us what the camera sees. And if I hover down here in the bottom left corner, it says Pin Preview. If I tick that there, this will stay here. Now I can click back on the camera, hit E to rotate it around a little bit. Let's rotate this shot so that we're kind of looking into the canyon here. And I'm going to hit W to bring up the move tool and just bring it down a little bit on the Z axis, the up and down axis. So now that we've got this here, I want to bring in just a little bit of this rock here that's on the left-hand side, so that it just kind of sticks into our frame. And then I want to bring it a little bit closer to the camera so that it creates some nice depth, and there's a little bit of a foreground element to our shot. And we just mess with that positioning a little bit. And now when we start to play with some of the camera settings, we can start to get some nice depth. So if I go over here, click on the camera in the grid, and now down here in our details panel, we can see the attributes for our camera. So let's start. We've got film back, where we can switch digital film, DSLR. A lot of people like DSLR, just gives a little bit more into the frame. I can change my zoom here, so I can switch to an 85mm lens. I've got aperture controls, focus distance. We've got some really fine-tuned focusing controls here we'll look at in a little bit. So let's, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and we can see I need to move the camera back now. Now, this is a good opportunity to discuss the difference between the gizmo orientation here, which is what's called world orientation, meaning that it's referencing the X, Y, and Z positioning of the world. Or if I come up here and click this one, so I've got a little globe here. If I click on that, that's going to transform the gizmo into local space. So now these objects, the gizmos are going to represent the orientation of the object itself. So now I can slide the camera just kind of straight back along that axis. Now I can pull out a little bit, and then I can turn my gizmo orientation back to world. Just, I tend to keep it on world. Just, you know, that's just my personal preference. All right, so now we can go back to focus settings. And if I turn on draw debug focus plane, now when I move the manual focus distance, we can see that this purple thing comes up and shows us exactly where our focal point is. So I can turn that off, and we can see that's a focusing point on the front rock here. Or I can turn that back on. We can move the focal point a bit further back, and then we know that that's where objects will be in perfect focus.